welcome back to my channel. This is Janet. I'm making chicken tortilla soup and cornbread, and I will show you my way. Okay, so to start, I have one chicken breast, and I am just sprinkling onion powder, black pepper, and some Lowery seasoning salt. I took this chicken breast out to thaw out, and I was going to make something else with it, but on this day I had been really struggling with my vertigo and just wanted something quick and easy to make, so this is how I'm doing it. Okay, so some of the other items that you're going to want, I'm adding a few of those baby bell peppers, about a quarter of an onion chopped up, and 2 ribs of celery. And then I'm also going to add this Knorr tomato and chicken bouillon granules. And it's 1 tablespoon to 1 cup of warm or hot water. And then I'm also adding 1 tablespoon of the Knorr chicken bouillon granules. And I do this instead of having cans of broth on the shelf taking up valuable real estate in my pantry, because these are easier for me to store, and I think it gives a really wonderful flavor to whatever you're making. The other thing that I'm going to add is the Mexicorn, and then a can of Rotel, and that'll give it lovely flavor as well. So now that I've gotten all the vegetables and broth in, I'm going to add the Rotel, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill the can up with water and add to the crock pot, and that will give me all the broth that I need for my soup. Then once I get the corn in there, I'll give it a bit of a stir. And then finally, to give it some of that Mexican flavor that I really crave, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle. I would guesstimate this is probably about a half a tablespoon of taco seasoning. And I'll go ahead and give that another stir, get it all preset, get the lid on it, and set it for 4 hours on high, or of course you can do it, on low for 8 hours or however long you need to complete your meal. After the soup has been cooking for several hours, I come in and I get a couple of handfuls of corn tortilla chips, and I'm going to crush them up and put them into the soup. This is going to help thicken the broth a bit, and it's going to give that tortilla flavor that I'm looking for. Now, I have used corn tortillas that haven't been baked or fried. I've used those in the past, but what you need to do with those is you cut them up or tear them up into small pieces, and you put them in at the beginning rather than at the end, because they need time to absorb the water or the broth and really break down. This way I find is quicker, and that's why I'm doing it this way at this point. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the cornbread, and the Jiffy Mix box instructions call for 1 egg and 1/3 cup of milk, and at that point you can bake it off in a 400-degree oven and you'll have cornbread. But I wanted to mimic a recipe that I used to get at a Mexican restaurant here in Southern California. They would always give you a little ball of corn pudding on each plate that went out, and I just wanted to mimic that. So back in the mid-'80s, I started adding the can of creamed corn to my cornbread, and I have made it that way ever since. I have done many different add-ins as well, but the creamed corn is something that I always add. And tonight I'll be adding that as well as a 1/4 cup of sour cream. I have added things like jalapenos. I've added crumpled bacon bits. I've added different kinds of peppers and onions. I even saw a recent recipe where Martha Stewart has added blueberries to her cornbread muffins, which intrigues me. So I might be trying that soon. And once you get it all incorporated, I'm going to go ahead and also add in just a bit, just 1 handful of grated cheese and get that all incorporated well. And this just gives it more of that texture that I like. You know, cornbread has that tendency to be real grainy and flaky, and I'm not overly fond of that. However, I love the flavor of cornbread, and so I really enjoy eating it. So once I get this all incorporated, I'm going to get a 2-quart baking dish, and I'm going to give it a nice spray with some cooking spray, or baking spray as it were. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this poured into the baking dish, and I will bake it in my preheated oven at 400 degrees. And because I have the add-ins, I'm going to bake it for at least 25 minutes. And I will check for doneness when the timer goes off. And it should come out with a toothpick inserted. It will probably come out just a little bit soft. And this is your finished product. It should look like this, with a little bit of brownness around the edges. And it's going to be more, like I said, more like a pudding consistency. I just think it came out perfectly for me. So here's my finished product. I've got my chicken tortilla soup. I've garnished it with a few more tortilla chips, a little dollop of sour cream, and some cheese on top. You can garnish however you like with cilantro or pico de gallo. But I hope you try it. I hope you like it. Please leave me a thumbs up, and I hope you subscribe. Have a blessed day. God bless you.